Lynn Lowder, welcome back to the show, my friend. Pleasure to have you here.
Honored to be here. Thanks a lot, Dave.
Let's welcome back to the Attention Now podcast. Today is a special episode. We're going to start off with a introduction for Lynn. He was actually on the show. I can't remember if it was earlier this year or late last year, but he was on the show. So reference back to that podcast, you can learn a little bit more about him. But let me start off with this. Lynn Lowder served as a team leader with the Marine First Force Recon Special Operations in South Vietnam, where he was awarded the Silver Star Medal of Honor, Medal of Valor, the Bronze Star Medal with Combat V for Valor, and the Purple Heart for wounds received in action. His combat and business experience have been profiled in several books. Lynn Lowder is not only a combat proven leader, he's the founder of the driving force behind Veterans Business Project, an organization that gives veterans something many never thought possible: a clear path of business ownership, financial independence, and a mission after the uniform comes off. Veterans gaining real business, families being transformed, futures are being rewritten. And today, Lynn is back to talk about what's new and why the mission matters more than ever. So buckle up. This episode hits deep, changing and saving lives. Lynn, it's always an honor to have you here, my friend. Thank you so much for being on. And for our new listeners today that didn't listen to the last podcast, can you give us a quick overview on your career in the Marine Corps, please?
Sure can. Glad to be here too, Dave. Thanks for your service also, brother.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
So I was wasting time years ago in a small town hick when I was found myself playing a little college football out here at Northern. Football was fine. Academics, I really wasn't too concerned about that. So decided I would enlist in the Marine Corps. Ended up spending 15 years in the Marine Corps. Went through the San Diego as an enlisted man. I didn't think about rank. I didn't care less about that. I just wanted to get in the fight. So then ultimately was offered the opportunity to go to OCS, got a commission, infantry for 10, and got a law degree along the way and finished up as a JAG officer in the Marine Corps, then went on to be a lawyer out in the civilian world for a while and ran companies and so forth. And bringing us to here. But in the last 14 years, I have been involved in Veteran Business Project with my co-founder, Dale Eisenberg. I had stood up a veterans program at the University of Missouri a few years before we founded Veteran Business Project, and saw myself in the face and in the behavior of many of these veterans out there at the University of Central Missouri, many of whom had seen combat. And I'm watching them trying to do two things, Dave. They're trying to figure out, one, who am I now? Number two, what's my lane in life going to be? And that manifested itself in many of these people coming into my office on a frequent basis, regardless of age, gender, race, any of that stuff, branch of military, MOS. It always came down to the same thing. They wanted to know, how do you get in business for yourself? And that I did not anticipate. And that ultimately led to the founding of Veteran Business Project, and you and me talking here today. All this stuff came to us, Dave. We didn't start out to do any of what we're doing now, but we got pulled into this vacuum, and then it's even deeper now in terms of what we're doing. But I need to shut up and.
No, that's awesome. I love, and that's what I asked you for, a quick intro. So thank you for that, Lynn. I really appreciate it. And one thing I love about Veteran Business Project is that you guys provide a new mission for people, right? And speaking of missions, you were decorated highly in the Marine Corps. Can you give us two missions while you were in the Marine Corps that were very impactful for you, or just that you never forget about?
Sure. Well, First Force Reconnaissance Company, which is where I was in Vietnam, they were at that point the Marine Corps equivalent of MARSOC, or the Navy's equivalent of SEALs, or Army and the SF. That's what we did. So we had six-man teams in the unit. Team leaders, it was based upon your competency, not just your rank at all. So when you came to that organization, if you were going to be a team leader, you went out on 3 patrols to be evaluated by one of the current team leaders at that point in time. And they would tell the boss, the commanding officer, if they felt, in their opinion, that you had what it took. So my first 3 patrols, I went out with a Marine sergeant and 2 Marine corporals.
Nice.
team leaders. I love that part. In reality, I always want to be a part of an organization. You know what? We know who you are. I know who I am. Check your rank at the door. Grab your rifle. This is what we're supposed to be doing as a team. Now let's go get it done. And that was really it. The first patrol I engaged in was a team led by Sergeant Carcass. How about that for a name for a Marine team leader? A great Marine. He had had a tour at the 3rd Force Recon before he came to First Force. So I'm over there December 68 when I reported aboard. So I learned on how this happens too. If you're the guy being evaluated, you're going to be like a pack mule for the team. They're going to load you up with all sorts of stuff, bury you in the middle of the pack so you don't screw anything up. You don't have your bush sense yet. You know, what we call bush sense, combination of hunch, intuition, sight, smell, hearing. You get a feel for what's going on out there in the jungle, and you're not there yet, so you don't want to do anything to screw anything up. So they don't trust you yet, and rightfully so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they don't want to get blown up, right? Yeah.
No, and especially some arguably stupid second lieutenant who doesn't know his butt from first base, right?
So, I could just hear that conversation. Oh, great, we got to take this guy with us.
Can you imagine? Yeah. So, but I was a Mustang, so my highest enlisted rank was Lance Corporal, which I'm very proud of, by the way. The generals strut around and get all the credit. As you well know, it's a junior NCOs and some junior officers that are driving those rifles and going up those hills. They're the ones that do the fight. Then they get out and they try and put their lives together. The general keeps on strutting. He goes and gets a board position after he retires. So anyway, back to Sergeant Carcass. So we go out. We were supposed to find this way station way out. A place called Base Area 112. We get inserted by helicopter, and over time, several hours, sometimes you go slow going through the jungle. You've got to listen very carefully. You never know when you're going to walk out into a trail, that kind of stuff. So you got to do that. We managed to find that way station, and there were camped areas there, fires, Dave, that still were smoldering. It looked like they'd been put out, and the ground was damp. It was right beside a river, and you could see the fresh imprints of Ho Chi Minh sandals all over the place. Man. I mean, it was electric. You know, the hair on the back of your head stands up. Here you are, miles and miles from the nearest friendly forces, and you know you're going to be in the middle of something here, likely pretty quick. So we look around, and then we get out on this trail, and we're following the footprints that we see in the trail right beside the river. There are fresh footprints. So we're out in a column. Everybody, as you know, has got their field of vision from the point man to the team leader and back. And turns out that an NBA soldier walked up on our tail end Charlie, our rear man in the lead there.
Okay.
And he opens fire and kills a guy.
Oh, no way. Oh, man.
Well, and and he was doing his job. He had to do that.
Right.
So
I thought, okay, he actually killed the guy that snuck up on him. Okay, I thought it was vice versa. Okay, got it.
Yeah, no, the NBA guy came walking around the corner, but right up on him, and
that's awesome. Okay,
took him out. So when that M16 rifle goes off, when you're way out there in enemy country, everybody that hears that, and there's going to be a lot of them around typically, and there were. They hear that and they know that's not the sound of an AK-47, as you know. Well, that's an M16. It's different. So they're going to come swarming, and they do. They want to take us out. There were actual bounties on our head. That's no exaggeration. So here they come. We know we got a certain amount of time. We got to get out of Dodge and put some distance between where that happened, where that round went off, and where we need to be so we can get ourselves into a defensible position and or hopefully break away so we can continue our mission and not be compromised in that fashion. Turns out the guy had medical records with him, had a bunch of medications and pills and medical logs. We divided all that up quickly, dumped his body into the river, and then we keep on going. And Sergeant Carcass, having had that experience with Third Force, knew that we couldn't stay on that trail very long at all.
Right. Yeah. He'd be sitting ducks there. Yep.
Right. So he said, he basically cuts left, and we start going up this, had to be like a 40-degree angle through the jungle to try and get away from that trail. We get up there, maybe 200 yards or so, maybe further, and he stops the patrol. It's a fist up. We stop, and there's nobody ever talking in a recon patrol. It's a matter of what you're doing. You communicate by hand signals and clicks of the tongue, things like that. So he brings the assistant team leader up with him as corporal, and I can see what they're doing. So we're stopped where we're at, and those two, in a 90-degree fashion, they're walking over there side by side, and there was a trail that we were sort of parallel that we didn't know about. It was probably 15 feet away, 20 feet away, jungle stick. And the corporal turns left, and Sergeant Carcass turns right. They got their back to each other. That's the way you walk out on your trail like that. And there were some NVA that had their little ponchos, rain covers on, and they were sort of doing the Wile E. Coyote, pooping and snooping up, trying to think they're going to get up ahead of us, I'm sure. Maybe.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Sergeant Carcass, he broke noise discipline. He clicked his tongue. He said, "Hey, look here." And they looked up, and then he took them out.
No way. Oh my gosh.
Carcass was one tough Marine.
Oh
And when that happened, down below us, it just erupted in fire, in ground fire. Rounds are flying. They're shooting over us, thankfully. And twigs are falling down from trees and things like that. And Dave, I thought to myself, holy cow, I'm in a firefight.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Holy cow.
First time you hear sounds of bullets flying by you, you never forget that crack sound, number one. We were able to disengage and work our way up that hill further and get to a defendable position. And Sergeant Carcass did something that you were not supposed to do. You weren't supposed to light a cigarette or certainly start a fire of any type when you're out there on patrol. But he did, and I never forgot it. We were kind of like up on a little cliff there. Nobody could see us. And he did a little small fire.
Okay.
Made a can of Sea Rat coffee. He lit a cigarette. I'm not a smoker, but I'll tell you, buddy, the taste of that coffee and that cigarette, I never got over it. Fantastic.
Wow. It's like you had never tasted it before, probably.
It settled everybody down. It really was great. So I learned that there's a judgment call in everything. There's things you shouldn't do, things you would never do.
Right.
And there's the gray area in between when you might think something that wouldn't be necessarily the school solution would be the right thing to do. So we did our mission. We did what we needed to do, conducted surveillance on a couple strong points, and troop marshaling areas, reported that out, and ended up getting extracted and came back. But that was my first patrol.
Man, oh man, I can't even imagine being in a jungle where you can't see anything, can't see the enemy at all, right?
No, you're just
hot, humid. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And you're humping all this gear, and I still didn't have my bush sense, and it takes you a while to get into the sequence of things. It's hot and muggy, all the rest of that. So you end up, after you've done this a while, you almost feel like you're looking like a greyhound dog. I mean, there's nothing but rib cage and whatever.
Oh my gosh.
But you can hump and hump and hop up hills, down hills. It's just a different type of fitness, if you will.
Wow.
So that was one patrol that stuck with me. Then there was another time when I was on a combined team where we were going out to do a prisoner grab.
Okay.
And we were spotted by a trail watcher, which resulted in our having to get an emergency extract and being under heavy enemy fire. So combined team meant we had 12 of us all total to do this.
Oh my goodness.
So we ended up getting an emergency extract and having to come out under fire, and I got inadvertently left behind on the ground. So there's actually a little video that's been done about this I could send your way.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. That'd be great. Maybe we could attach it on here.
So out of that, I learned what people do in combat. Many of us, when we think we're about ready to breathe our last, I got really serious about my relationship with God, and that's a fact. I don't know if I ever really knew anybody, Dave, that was a dyed-in-the-wool atheist when you think and believe in your heart that your next breath is going to be your last breath. So, you're cutting your deals with God, And thank goodness, it was the end of the day. I had no radio communication whatsoever,
Holy moly.
nothing. And out of the sun, I had a signal mirror, and out of the sun, it was just coming down over a ridge line, which was at my feet, so to speak. I was down behind a rice paddy taking incoming fire. I hear the sound of a Huey,
Nice.
and I could take that signal mirror, I'd roll over on my back, and I did. I hit him, and he saw me. A guy's named Jim Campbell, and I wanted to meet him for years and years and years. He saved my life, and was able to do that a few years ago, and actually thank him for what he did.
Oh, no way. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So you got a gunship. Here he comes, and gunships were not supposed to ground themselves, especially under fire, heavy fire. But had Jim not done that, I wouldn't be having this podcast with you. He did. I was able to get on that helicopter. I think I set a 40-yard dash record, world record that probably still stands.
Oh my gosh.
Getting over to that gunship, and he nosed it up, and out we came, and so I got out of that predicament, I believe, personally, for the grace of God, for one thing, and then the courage of Jim Campbell and his crew. They're laying down a lot of suppressive fire, keeping the enemy's head down so we could get our way out of there.
Wow.
That said, the bird took some hits, but we got out of there. Our unit, by the way, he was put in for, rightfully so, I think for a Silver Star, for valor, for sure.
Okay.
And he actually got in trouble with his commanding officer. He got grounded for a while. He was not supposed to ground that bird. Man, I don't know if our commanding officer ever got a hold of their commanding officer of that unit, the Huey unit, but Jim Campbell richly deserved to be acknowledged for that, certainly by me personally. And I made sure that he understood I knew what he was in my life, and God bless him for it.
Wow, that's amazing. Sometimes you have to do the right thing versus what you're supposed to do, right? So he actually made the right call, which I love that.
Yeah, there's the call, that sort of the school solution, as you know, you're being a Marine yourself. And then there's what do you do when something unanticipated happens, and how do you handle all that? Or as Mike Tyson said, something along the lines of, everybody has a plan when they step into that boxing ring until they get hit in the face.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Now
your tune changes quickly when you get that hit, right? Yeah.
That's it, brother. So that was an example of two examples, actually, Sergeant Carcass that did
That's awesome, Lynn.
Steady everybody down. And then also Jim Campbell, who understood that there wasn't time to have that 46, that troop transport chopper, swing back around. It was too far away and try and come in and pick me up, and it wouldn't have had enough suppressive fire capability to hold the fire down for that to even happen.
So I know the audience is going to want to know, and this is the first thing that popped in my head when you were telling that story is, was your squad all together, or how did they forget you?
Well, when you have that many, you'll remember this, that many Marines that are clamoring on to a 46 under fire, the way that we were trained to do that is once the last guy is on, that last guy gives a thumbs up to the guy in front of him, who turns and gives it to the guy in front of him, and right on up the sequence. Now we're under fire, so my guess is somebody along the line probably
gave the thumbs up. Okay.
Gave the thumbs up, and the crew chief said go, and the crew chief couldn't see me from where I was at.
How far were you from the chopper?
I was laying down suppressive fire.
Okay.
I was the last man to get up to getting on the bird. So I'm on the ground, and I turn around to put my foot on that ramp, and the chopper is about.
Oh, you were that close?
Yeah, absolutely. and I remember we had the other team leader. Exactly. Yeah, I could probably verbatim tell you the 4-letter words that were flowing out of my mouth, because I thought, this is. Oh, thank you very much. I'm done. Wayne Rawlings was the other team leader in the combined mission there. And he went on, he was a Mustang, went on to be a 2-star general all the way in the Marine Corps. Great guy. Held the world sit-up record twice.
Okay.
One record was 40,000 sit-ups.
Oh, wow. Holy cow.
Imagine that. Great guy. Little Georgia guy, missing digits of 2 fingers on his right hand. Wonderful guy.
Wow.
His eyes were as big as saucer plates, and he's looking down at me, and his arms extended. He can't get me. And I'm confident. Well, I know he knew that, oh God, Lowder's done for. So, well,
Well, thank God they went back to save you, Lynn. That's awesome.
Yeah, it worked out well.
And now you're changing lives, which is great. Can you tell us one last story that you told me this when I met you at Lynn also owns a great breakfast and lunch place called Rosie's Home Cooking in Naperville, and we'll talk a little bit about that more. But he told me this story when I was at his restaurant. Many veterans go there to visit. They're actually moving to a new location, which we'll talk about more. But can you tell us? Most Marines know about Chesty Puller, right? Can you tell us how you wound up meeting Chesty Puller?
Sure. Well, after I'd gone through boot camp and, about 2 years later, after I got out of OCS and you go to basic school as a junior officer, learn the P's and Q's, a little admin, a little supply and so forth, what goes on in the rear. But the main focus at that point in time in 1968 was tactical. So I had read a book by a guy named Bert Davis. It was The Life of Chesty Puller. And in that book, he stated that Marines would occasionally drop in to see General Puller, who was retired at that point, living in a home in Saluda, Virginia. So there were some Mustangs like myself that I had gotten to know in California, Tom Brandt and John Warmbrought. And we were almost through the basic school, getting ready to go to Vietnam. And we were talking one day, we said, you know what? We had Sunday off. Let's drive down to Saluda, Virginia. Maybe we could
That's
meet,
awesome.
meet Chesty Puller, right? So we did. We drove down to Saluda, Virginia, south of Quantico a ways, out there near the Chesapeake Bay, and asked around town, small town, and found out where the general's home was. We pull up Parallel Park and walk up there, and there's a plate on the door. I can remember some of the stuff so clearly. LB Puller, USMC, retired.
Wow.
Knocked on the door. This nice lady came to the door. She looked older, looked very almost grandparent-ish.
Okay.
Now that I'm almost 80, Dave, she had to be quite a bit younger than I am now. Truth.
Funny how that perspective changes, but go ahead.
Isn't it? And so we introduced ourselves, said, ma'am, we just wanted to drop by and pay our respects to General Puller if we could. And she said, well, boys, the general just had a stroke not long ago.
Oh, wow.
And he's in bed asleep. But I'm going to let him sleep about another hour. And she said, I'll wake him up, and I'm sure he's going to want to come out and meet you and say hello. And she said, why don't you just come on in, Southern lady, why don't you come on in and we'll sit and visit a while, and then I'll wake the general up and you can meet him. So very gracious, kind. She walked us in and we sat down in the living room, and she asked us who we were. We explained who we were, and she was very quickly acting like a concerned mother, because their son, their boy, was an infantry lieutenant at that point, was in Vietnam, had just been shot through the hand. Later on, he ended up being the recipient of a bomb blast and lost both his legs, the better part of both his legs. Yeah. And that's a whole nother story. That had not happened yet. So we visited a while with Mrs. Puller, very gracious. She went back. I'm sitting kind of like in a rectangular living room, if you will, and she's off to the right. I'm on the couch. John Warmbrought's over here. Tom Brandt's in a chair to my left front. Their bedroom is behind me. Small, kind of a small home, actually.
Okay.
And so she crossed over and in a little hallway over here, kind of separated by a half wall from the living room. But there was a full-length mirror over here in that hallway that I can see, Dave, and it's reflecting back into the entrance to the bedroom.
Got it.
And I heard her say something like, Lewis, there's some lieutenants here from Quantico, and grumble or something like that from his end. And she walked out and said, he'll be right out here in a little bit. So I could sort of look over there and I could see him a little bit back and forth. Well, he came out, he had a white starch shirt, a tie. He's not a physically imposing man size-wise. He was 5 foot something, but this isn't a 6'4" guy.
Okay, got it.
Looks like he played NFL. That wasn't happening.
Okay.
So he stood right there in front of that mirror, and he couldn't see me from where I'm sitting on the couch. I'm right 90 degrees from him to his right. He couldn't see through the wall, but I'm seeing him in that full-length mirror. And he took a deep breath, steadied himself, and he did a column right, came out, and he had, how to say this, sort of a guttural pro wrestler voice. He said, "Louis Puller." And he stuck his hand out to Tom, and Tom said, "Sir, I'm Lieutenant Brandt from Kansas." And then John Brandt, we were standing at this point, of course.
Okay.
John Warmbrodt said, "Sir, I'm Lieutenant Warmbrodt from California." And then he said, and I said, "Sir, I'm Lieutenant Lowder from Illinois." And he shot right back at me and said, "If it hadn't been for you bastards, we'd have won that war." And with his, he was joking. He was
Right,
smiling.
yeah.
But I got it. You know, it was a southerner, northern kind of thing.
Right.
So we sat down. I think we visited with him and Mrs. Puller probably a good hour and a half.
Wow.
And she brought out some bourbons and water. We had a couple drinks along the way, which was great. Talking about a number of things. And I brought my boot camp yearbook because I'm hoping I could get him to sign it. And he
Oh
did.
my gosh.
I have that yearbook. Yeah. 29 September 1968. Second Lieutenant Charles L. Lowder, a platoon leader and a patriot.
Wow.
Be a leader, not a commander. L.B. Puller.
Wow. I love that. Holy cow. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we talked, and at one point in time, I never will forget this. Well, almost everything I never will forget, but this one was impactful, even more so, Dave, as years have gone by. He had tried to get back in the Marine Corps when Vietnam started, but he had a stroke. So medically, he was retired out of the Marine Corps as a 3-star.
Right.
On active duty, I think the highest rank he had was 2-star. But anyway, another story there. So he's sitting there and he said, "Boys," he said, "I don't understand our mission over there." He said, "We should march a division of Marines on the DMZ, face north, step off, and finish it."
Right.
And Dave, the old man, was right. He was right, in my view. He was right.
Man.
You're going to go in and you're going to get in the fight, go in to win. You apply as much strategic violence and, you know, skill sets that you can to keep the carnage at a minimum.
Right.
Do what you got to do and then leave.
Yep.
Get out.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
So we're over there retaking hills and all that, which frankly, from my perspective, I wanted to be a part of a unit that would go back there and apply a kickoff mentality, so to speak, and get after them before they get after us.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Get the drop on people. There's a strategic advantage, as you well know, to that approach. And so the general was absolutely correct in his view, in my opinion. He walked us out to our car. I drove, I had my car. And Dave, he apologized to us. He said, "Boys, I'm sorry I'm not going with you." He said, "I tried to get back in, but the Marine Corps wouldn't let me." And said, "Now, you listen to your NCOs, you lead by example, and awfully good to meet you." And we shook General Puller's hand, and that was that.
Wow, what an honor to meet him, and that says so much about him, his character, his morals, his values. By first welcoming you guys into his home. I mean, his wife did, but sitting and talking to you guys, right? He doesn't have to do that. It's like, hey, why would I need to do that? So it says a lot. I mean, and he was the most decorated Marine in the Marine Corps history. That's for people that don't know.
Sure.
You know, it's. I think that's what really defines a Marine is those values right there. You know, not thinking about yourself, not trying to get promoted, not trying to do political things, always doing the right things, just like the gentleman from the helicopter and like Chesty Puller. And Lynn Lowder is the same way, by the way, guys. So I just wanted to recommend that. So, or actually say that also. So thank you for sharing those, Lynn. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Dave, there's something I might like to add real quick if I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before she woke General Puller up and brought him out, she said, "Boy," she said, "would you like to see the general's, some of his military things?" And we said, "Oh, yes, ma'am." She said, "Well, his original medals are in a shoebox over there in that sewing room." They make this stuff up. So she said,
"You just had them thrown in there?"
So she said, "Boys, just go over there, and on the right, you'll see a closet in there. Just open it up, and there's a shoebox up on the shelf, and that's where you'll see his medals. Would you like to do that?" We said, "Oh, yes, ma'am." So we walked over there. I was taller than everybody else. And actually, Dave, I reached up there and pulled that shoebox down. And
Okay.
all those medals were just tossed in there. They were all twisted around, and the cloth parts were all kind of folded up.
Oh my
And
gosh.
Tom or John, I forget which one, was fishing around in there and pulls up. Oh, here's a Navy Cross with 4 stars on it.
Oh my goodness.
Believe
Holy
that?
cow.
Yeah, we look like we're holding a relic, a historical relic of some sorts. But yeah, we looked at his ribbons and everything. I mean, that's how much regard he had for that. He put them in a shoebox, the originals. We had a chance to look at his copy of a book, Caesar's Gallic Commentaries, I believe it was, or Caesar Gallic Wars. It's a book he took with him for his entire career in the Marine Corps. It was all, bound together with tape and all sorts of stuff. So we looked at that. I'm thinking to myself, and I know Tom and John were also, I guess at that point in time, I'd had almost 2 years in the Marine Corps. I'm thinking to myself, in early 67, I was in boot camp, and you hear all about Chesty Puller,
Right.
5 Navy Crosses and all that, legend in the Marine Corps. And here I am sitting in his house, meeting him. I met his wife. How in the world stuff like that happen? But you're
Wow.
exactly right. The Marine Corps is a small, cohesive group. Every Marine's a rifleman, Semper Fidelis, Devil Dogs, all that, as you well know, that's worked into the fabric and spirit of everybody, every Marine that ever has anything that's gone through the Marine Corps. And it never really leaves you. I tell people, Marines, we're like the mafia on steroids. We never leave, not
Yes, that's
fully.
true. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Man.
I've never made the full turn to civilian life. I never have. I will always be a Marine, happily so. But the notion that a Marine of that caliber and background experience would spend time
Right.
on a Sunday in his house talking to 3, brand new lieutenants, so to speak, who are on their way to combat, and talk to us and just visit with us. And Mrs. Puller was a concerned mother. She also told us before she woke him up and brought him out, she said, now, boys, don't you take any unnecessary risks, and you listen to your NCOs. You learn what the people know that have been there and been in that fight now. Do you understand? And she was a mother. She was,
Wow. She actually knew the right answer. That's amazing. Holy cow.
she did. John Warmbrodt was killed in Vietnam. Tom Brandt was wounded in
Wow.
Vietnam, paid the price. So it was just a wonderful, wonderful occasion. And again, it just impacted me. What are the chances of something like that happening? By age 80, I'll be 80 here in a few days, Dave.
Oh wow.
I firmly believe nothing happens by accident in life.
No.
Not one thing.
That's one of
That
those
was,
stories that gives you goosebumps. Back
well,
then.
we're talking here old time stuff. I know the guy that buried him that had the duty that was sent down to bury Chesty Puller, a guy named Jim
Wow.
Warren. I met him later when I was working or training Marines in the Marine Corps Reserve. We were talking, and I was telling him the story. We were talking about, did you ever meet Chesty Puller? He brought it up. I said, in fact, I had. And he said, well, I was in charge of going down and making sure the ceremony went right. I was the casualty officer that went down to meet Mrs. Puller. We were
Wow.
setting up the funeral for General Puller. I said, wow, that must have been something. Historically, it had to be one of the best attended, I'm sure, military ceremonies and the burial of a Marine ever. He told me he went down there and there's a protocol they're supposed to use. And when a general is buried, that uniform, if it's going to be an open casket, it's got to be perfect in every respect and
Right.
so forth. You make sure everything comes off smoothly. You accommodate the surviving spouse, the wife, as best you can, and so on. So he asked her, he said, did General Puller express any preference for how he would like to be buried? Anything? She said, well, he always wanted to be buried in his uniform. We talked about that, dress blues.
Right.
And she said, I said, well, or Jim said, she asked Mrs. Puller, do you have that uniform? I said, oh, yeah. So she went in, pulled it out. It needed to be dry cleaned, spruced up, and all that. So that was one of the duties that Jim had to do, was take General Puller's dress blues down to a dry cleaners, get it fixed up, and then make sure, in this case, they didn't have the actual military medals on his left breast pocket. It would be the ribbons.
Okay.
So all those had to be fresh and clean and looking good. And Jim made sure that happened too. So ultimately then he picked the dress blues up. He had them done on an expedited basis. He took them back to the funeral directors location and handed them off so the field director could get Chesty in the right uniform for the event. And then the following morning, Jim went back, and if it was going to be an open casket, he had to view the body. He had to make sure everything was absolutely on the money. The ribbons were placed right. Everything was looking squared away. It turned out that in the dry cleaning process, one of the buttons had some tarnish marks on it. And so Jim's looking at that. And so he reaches down and he takes General Fuller's hands, spreads them apart. There was a button under his hand that was perfect.
Okay.
So they switched out the buttons.
Wow.
The one with the tarnish mark you put down there, the right one we put up here, the one that was all ready to go, folded General Fuller's hands over that button. And now Chesty was good to go. Marines take care of their own all the way through.
Wow.
And that's something.
That's incredible.
Again, the legacy of all that, phenomenal. So there's a backstory for you.
Love it, Lynn. Yeah, I think the thing that most hit me the most is, like I said earlier, you hear all about him, and that he was a great leader, a great commander, and when he opens the door for you, that tells you everything about him right there. So thanks for sharing that.
Sure.
So you shared the missions. Thank you for being an incredible person and Marine yourself, Lynn. We always have chapters in our lives. Now veterans can have hope with a new mission with Veteran Business Project, right? I had the honor to be at the grand opening of Veterans Business Project's new office last month, entering into a powerful new chapter. And it's happening inside the Calamos Financial Building in Naperville, Illinois. And people that don't know who Calamos is, John Calamos is an Air Force veteran, a billionaire entrepreneur, and one of the most respected financial leaders in America. What a great example for America and veterans to be inspired by. And that is where Lynn's office and Lynn's restaurant is going to be within that organization. So, that just kind of shows you what could happen with your own business, right? And Lynn and I have had this conversation. Many veterans are made to be business owners. So with that, Lynn, can you tell us why Veteran Business Project is so impactful, please?
Thanks for the opportunity to do that, Dave. Some years ago, I stood up a veterans program over at the University of Missouri, Central Missouri, and this is where I encountered. I was over there to help them set up their veterans program. That ended up being about a year and 9 month tour of duty over there, and it came down to making sure veterans went through that school over there, got the proper transfer credits. Many had seen combat. Many were Missouri National Guard Army, had been multiple tours.
Okay.
So want to make sure we had mental wellness facilities and capabilities there on campus. We were about an hour and 10 minutes east of Kansas City and about 7 miles east of Whiteman Air Force Base too, where the B-2s are. So we had a lot of veterans on campus, and I needed to meet as many as I could. I don't know what I was there to do, but we wanted the mental wellness capability there because these people, a lot of them had been seeing some serious stuff. And then lastly, jobs. And Kansas City was over there, and I actually ended up taking stacks of resumes, meeting with people, and making sure that they knew that we had some really good candidates over there, veterans that were seeking jobs. And so that's how I started out. However, I didn't anticipate that not long after I'd been there, started getting people coming into my office, Dave, on nearly a daily basis.
Oh, wow.
Regardless of race, age, gender, military branch of service, or MOS, or any of that. And the conversations always got around to one thing: how do you get in business for yourself? And I didn't anticipate any of this. But I'll tell you, brother, I was dusting off my Vietnam brain in the process, thinking back to when I came back from the Marine Corps in 1969, and I'm trying to get my feet on the ground, and I didn't know I would stay in the Marine Corps any further. I just thought I was going to get out and move on down the road. I remember, and what I've learned over the years, and I believe this is the way it is for most of us, we come off active duty, and we're trying to figure out two things. We're trying to figure out, number one, who am I now? I wouldn't have said that, but that's exactly the truth.
Right, when you look back at it, right?
Yep. And secondly, what's my lean in life going to be? And as you know, for many people, when you come out of the service, they do a good job training us and all that. Now you go to Vietnam, in our case, and now you're coming back out, come back over, now you're getting out, and it's like going from Mach 2 to 2 miles an hour. It's disorienting. You no longer have a higher calling mission that you're supposed to fulfill. You no longer have the cohesiveness of the guys in your unit that you grew close with and are very
Right.
close with. You don't have a plan of the day. If you remember all that,
Yeah, exactly.
zero 500 in the morning, check, check, check. That's not going on. So that's what they're trying to do. And I saw that, and I reflected back and went, okay, I know right where they're at. I know what's going on. But I didn't anticipate the curiosity about how do you get in business for yourself. The word got out on my background, and that's where all that was coming from. So I was there, I was commuting, so I wanted to make sure I was available. I had an apartment. I was available to these guys 24/7. I'm not exaggerating. I wanted to be.
Right.
I knew what was going on. And I hoped that I had enough credibility that they knew that I knew what I was talking about and I was there to help them, and I was. So when I came back, kind of building upon this desire, curiosity that many of the veterans that I worked with had about being in business, I started doing some research. And I found out that in the 9 years following World War II, 49.7% of our veterans became small business owner operators. That's a staggering number when you consider, which I then found out, post 9/11, less than 5%.
Wow. A lot of drop.
So exactly, there's an incredible gap there. What in the world is going on there? I dug deeper and I found out that the primary impediment that was the reason why it's now less than 5% compared to 49.7, one principal issue, and that alone, lack of access to capital. So, and I thought that's ironic because I was aware that, and it still goes on, if a teenager wants to go off to college, in many cases, they can get a loan for tens of thousands of dollars with no credit score or collateral required.
That's true.
Yep. But let's say a guy's a corporal machine gunner in the 5th Marines who's put his life on the line for our country out there, and he's going to be steered when he goes to see if he can get capital. He'll go to a bank, which is the customary way it goes. The bank's going to want to put him in a SBA 7A program where you'd have to have a certain credit score, and you would have to have $1 worth of collateral for every 40 you wanted to borrow.
Wow.
I don't know how you were when you were 20, 21, Dave, but I didn't have $1 worth of collateral for anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, same.
So you would think that somehow we would have figured out a plan, but that wasn't there. So I formed, along with Dale Eisenberg, a friend of mine, and he's the son of a World War II pilot. We decided we will form a nonprofit for one thing, and that's to see if we could bridge this gap for lack of access to capital.
Nice.
Let's find out what's going on. Let's see if we can advocate for the appropriateness of allowing our veterans who richly deserve an opportunity to be in business if they want. How can we help them get to the other side of this so they can get a business and have a future doing their own deal? Because World War II had established in my mind, there's no doubt veterans can be successful. You're one. Look at what you're doing, all these incredible podcasts you're doing and so forth. We are smart enough. We've got the grit. We've got the tenacity, the team play. We know what that's all about. All of these character traits that veterans have routinely that make for good leaders in the business world, owners and operators. So we went after that. And when I say we went after it, Dale and I have been in Washington. We've walked up and down the corridors of the Senate office building and the House of Representative office building, knocking on doors, sitting down and talking with representatives for these politically motivated and politically elected people to advocate for the appropriateness of our veterans having access to capital. And also we worked at the state level, made some progress there. But I'm telling you, Dave, it's a slog. Learning the DC, would you say, social network and their priorities out there, what really matters. What really matters is one thing, Dave. I've learned that money matters.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everything that's going on, it's money masquerading as politics, but money is everything. So we advocated for that. I ended up being on the SBA Advisory Committee for Veteran Business Affairs for 4 years, where I went and I accepted an appointment there under the premise and my stated objective that let's look hard at seeing if we can bridge this lack of access to capital challenge that's going on, and that some progress has been made. But coming to your original question, as we're doing all of this, going to state capitals and meeting with people and on and on and on, we started getting calls unsolicited from baby boomers wanting to retire and sell their businesses. And they had heard about us through the grapevine. And what they were looking to do was to get a referral or two to a veteran who might be interested in buying their business.
Nice.
And in 85% of the cases of these calls, and across the nation, this is the case, in 85% of the situations, Dave, their children do not want the business. And that's why they ended up calling us. So we have a board for our nonprofit. We went to our board, we talked about this. Dale's got 50 years of experience in restauranting. I've had some experience with businesses and on the legal side of things and so forth. We said, well, let's give one of these or two of these a shot and see what we could do. So we jumped in. And what we ultimately created, not far down the road, we had it stood up. Our business model for Veteran Business Project, what we do is we call it V-Harmony. There's E-Harmony to get a date. We're V-Harmony for veteran. And we match veterans and military spouses that want to be small business owner operators with existing businesses looking to sell, of which there are thousands across America. It's referred to right now, that whole phenomenon is referred to as the silver tsunami. Across the nation, you have baby boomers want to sell and retire. Their kids don't want it most of the time. They're looking for qualified buyers, people that can, after all, this is their baby. They birth this business and it's part of their very fabric, and they don't want to shut it down.
They don't want to make sure it doesn't fall apart, right?
Yeah, exactly. They've got a heritage there, that's exactly right. So that is what we've been doing now for over 13 years, matching that scenario of veterans and male spouses with existing businesses. And importantly to say that World War II, Dave, was about startups in the main. Now you've got all these existing businesses with cash flows, customer base, they're known, all of that, all of the hard work and energy that's gone into a viable business. Those businesses are out there, and we have a number of small businesses, thousands across the country, Dave, that need to be bought and sold. We need to keep our business, small business base in America, vibrant and ongoing, because the economy is still based on small businesses all across the country. We need to stop the trend of businesses shutting the lights off and leaving small town to big town. And that is what we do. To our knowledge, we're the only nonprofit in the country doing this in the manner and method by which we do it, which is boots on the ground. We assign a coach who's a seasoned business owner who's done exactly what the veteran wants to do. And we coach them through that entire process one-on-one, from selection of a business and so forth, all the way through to the buy-sell. That's what we do. Well, nice. That's the essence of V-Harmony, if you will.
So any veteran looking for a mission, right? A new mission in their life, right?
Yes.
This is a great opportunity to be able to take over an existing business that's already making money, right? Versus a startup. A lot of people want to do a startup. You're not sure about the stability. You're not sure what's going to happen in the future. But if you could actually acquire a business that's already making money, that's going to save you years, put you way ahead of, what other people are trying to do as startups. So I think this is a great program. So I'm a veteran. I want to talk to you guys, reach out to you on your website. You guys will talk to us with a coach, and then what happens from there, Lynn?
If you decide to move forward, we're going to have an initial conversation. Dave, it's called a match ready call conversation. You'll be called by a coach, and that coach is going to find out, do you have any experience in how to operate a business? If they do, great. If they don't, then there are places we can refer them to get that basic fundamental understanding. Number two, have they done any mental work on what their values are, what they're passionate about, and what they're good at?
Okay.
If we can find a business that rolls in what really matters to that veteran in here, in their heart, and in here, then their chances of success are much greater.
Okay.
And that's where a lot of work really goes into this. So we touch on that and we help them zero down and figure that out. That said, the average time to find a business on average, the right one is going to be can be anywhere from 18 to 24 months.
So it takes a little bit of time. Okay.
It's time. Well, and you're Marine, I'm a Marine, people out there, veterans, we know that nothing worthwhile comes easily. Why would we figure that something this important would be anything other than you got to dig in?
Not going to happen overnight. Yeah.
Got to dig in. And if they are not in a position credit score wise and finance wise, there's some expectations there that have to be met when you go to get a loan. So we have ways to work with them and help them get their credit score up and so forth. If they need money, they're going to have to find that money. Sometimes they're going to need, obviously, a down payment. A certain amount of money needs to go in, so we got to build that. So that can be a process. The other thing that we want to touch upon is their physical and mental status coming out of active duty.
Okay.
This gets us into the VA. The VA, you can imagine what's going to happen, Dave, to the VA system if we continue on with, since 9/11, it's been less than 0.5% of Americans that serve in our military. Now, just on a basis of keeping that amount of people or small amount of people participating proportionately in our military, over time, you're going to see what one could project out. Well, likely the VA is going to get lesser money. Hospitals could close down, staff could be laid off or let go, and all the rest of that. So the VA exists. If you come out of active duty and you have had any issues physically or mentally that are service connected, then the VA is supposed to be there to help you. And that happens via the filing of a VA claim, and they'll evaluate you. And if you're qualified, then you'll be given a percentage of money, disability rating, that can give you money, and that money is tax-free. It's not a gift. It's not a freebie. No one's taking advantage of anything. That is the way it's supposed to go.
Right.
But the VA will not do that, as you know, and I know, unless you file the claim and move ahead. So we talk them through that. And I get very transparent in this regard, Dave. I didn't go into the VA until I was age 64. And I can give you all sorts of reasons why, but I know you well too. It's, we want to think, well, we're tough, we can handle this. Besides,
we got this cover. Yeah.
Yeah. Got all my arms, got my legs, somebody more deserving ought to have that money. But I tell people, now that I've been through the system, I tell them, you know what? I understand where you're coming from, but just know this. This isn't anything. This isn't a gift. This says that you're not taking money away from anybody at all. It's an individually assigned situation. I'm not Chesty Puller. I'm not General Patton. I'm just Lynn. So there's no comparative basis for it. If this has happened, this should happen for you. If you experience this, this should happen for you. You should be taken care of. So we need to file our claims. We need to get that. You deserve it. You rate it. And like I said, I get very transparent. Don't wait till you're 64, brother. Go in there now and do this.
Right.
And so we want to encourage them to do that. That's part of the match ready call. That is the first contact between the veteran and the coach when they register, and then we assign a phone call and a date and a time, and we figure out if they want to move forward. We get people coming into our program, Dave, that have no experience in business whatsoever. That's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is people that already have selected a business, they've done their due diligence effectively. In most of those cases, so they know what they want to do. In those cases, mostly it's about arranging for financing. So
okay.
we get that's the polar extremes of the span of V-Harmony. There is no time limit on V-Harmony. Some people start out and then comes a divorce, or then comes I lost my job, or my child is sick, and they've got to take a time out. We say, no problem at all. We'll stay with you. When the smoke clears, let's get back together. We'll pick it up and start again. What happens in this process, Dave, are the people that move on ahead in V-Harmony, and we never cut them loose. we always want to stay in touch with them. Sometimes they want to go now. Sometimes maybe it's going to be later. We want to be there for them. We want them to know they're a part of an organization that cares about them. What happens in the process of going through eHarmony, and we want them to understand the historical aspect, World War II veterans, the success that they had and so forth. We want them to know and work into the fabric of their understanding that they have all it takes. The World War II folks don't have anything they don't have. So there's hope for their future. 85% of our veterans who get a job when they come out of the military do not make their first year employment anniversary. Second year, 65%. Why
Wow.
is that? You know, and I know why that is. They're standing and looking and standing and looking, and they're trying to find something where they feel that they fit within.
Exactly.
And we know now, without a doubt, that for most veterans, a 9-to-5 job for money will never do it. It's not going to address that higher mission part that you have and I have and they have. There needs to be a higher calling aspect, a higher mission aspect of it, if you will. Helping people, serving others. That's what it's all about. So in the process of working them through, and they're knowing what they know about the historical aspect of World War II and what we're teaching them in the process of moving through eHarmony, they begin to develop and do develop realizable hope for the future, Dave, that there is something here that I can own and operate and build value for my family. So I've got a secure financial future. Hope, as you know, is the most important thing. This rolls me into what we have found out over time, Dave. I was getting ready to go into the veteran suicide situation we've got going.
Yes.
You're okay with that?
Yeah. We were talking about that before, so that's perfect. Before we started, yeah.
So the statistics are, we are in our 23rd year. We have 22 consecutive years of a minimum 6,000 veteran suicides per year.
Wow.
So the aggregate of that is 132,000 and climbing. And again, with a small percentage of veterans that serve since 9/11, that's alarming in the extreme. It should be alarming, and it is alarming. There's another statistic that I think is helpful here. For every single suicide that occurs, on average, 135 other people are caught up in the backwash of all that. Aggregately now, in 22 years, that's 17,800,000 people and climbing. So the effects of suicide is just dramatic and heartbreaking beyond belief. So what is out there? People now, and I've in the past, before I ever got involved in eHarmony, I was aware there were problems and so on and so forth. And there are things you can do out there. There's a 1-800 number you can call, or encouraging people to go to the VA. But what we have learned, and we don't have the answer, Dave, I want to be clear on this, for every single suicide. But
Right.
brother, we have an answer for many. And what it is realizable hope for the future and owning and operating a small business for themselves, rowing their own rowboat. They've got all the capability to do that. All of that translates down to hope and a reason to stick around, Dave, the reason to live, to build a future and so forth. And what we are training our veterans to do too, if you're going to own a business, then just don't coast. You can't coast a business. If you don't kind of take hands off, it's not going to stay that way for long. It's going to start trending down. So you want to build the value of your company.
Right.
So let's grow it, and then let's reach out and do better helping one another, because nobody gets us like we get each other.
Absolutely.
So hire other veterans, and then we'll take them to eHarmony, and then they'll have hope, and they can do the same in a repetitive way, and we can have a grassroots type of movement. That's our solemn hope and goal and prayer for all of this. And we are growing and growing and growing and growing. We've got a tiger by the tail here. We are involved with them. That one-on-one relationship between a veteran and a coach is powerful, Dave. The average percentage of veterans annually that want to get in business is 6%. We have more than triple that number.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that's two things: eHarmony, the model, and a trust-based relationship between the veteran or male spouse and that coach. And that relationship can go on even after they have bought a business, and it frequently does.
That's
So
awesome.
a trusted confidant there they can bounce ideas off and talk about. It's invaluable. So we're boots on the ground. We're down there dealing with them one-on-one, and that is why we are successful in what we do.
I love
You
it.
got to get with them, and that's the Marine Corps way. You got to get involved with them. Small unit leadership, down there, boots on the ground, trust base. Now we got something. Now we can work and move forward. This is what keeps us awake at night, keeps us motivated and going. That's the essence of it.
That's great. I did not know that you guys, you guys do more than just the business. You guys help them get well-rounded, give them coaching, give them some financial advice with the disability benefits. And that takes some time as well. Everything, like we mentioned earlier, anything good takes some time. Some people get rejected once or twice. You got to keep going back. But to have someone in your corner to help you get through all that, that's what most people are looking for. Yeah, that's what you're missing from when you were in the service, right? You need that team, you need that backup. Like I mentioned, Lynn is a quality man, just like Chesty Puller, helping people. When you go to his restaurants, he talks to everybody. First time I met him, he stopped and talked with me for a long time. So that's the type of people you want to be around, right? You want to be around people that are there for you, right? And not unfortunately, most people nowadays are there for themselves, right? It's all about them. And Lynn has a serving heart. His team has a serving heart. Like I said, I went to the grand opening. I've met the co-founder as well. I met part of his other team. They're all there to help you out. So, if you're looking to start a business or just get some help, reach out to Lynn's organization, because it's a non-profit. There's no charge for this, right? Which is incredible.
That's right.
Which is incredible. Can you tell us a success story, Lynn, about a veteran that's come to you recently and was able to start a business?
Sure. We have a veteran actually in this area here, great guy, and he wanted to buy a business for himself. He's a veteran, Army veteran, and there was a business that's been in the DuPage County area for quite a while, and it's a business that this fellow had, and you would call his business if you needed a pipe repaired or you needed something. It's home based, basically. It's a fix-up business. And that's what they call it, home fixers. So we started into this discussion with this veteran. He said, "I'd like to buy this business and see if I could grow it. I think I can." And so he basically did. Justin Miller is his name. And he also, by the way, is been in the headship and leadership of an organization called Roll Call Chicagoland for some time. Veterans that get together, entrepreneurs, own their own business, or thinking about it, and they network and discuss common areas of concern and so forth. That was Justin Miller. So he has an organization that's based upon a number of handymen within his network. People will call there to get something repaired. Sean will find that craftsman or craftsperson that he has in his network, and they will go and fix whatever needs to be fixed in that house, anything from doing some remodeling to repair work. I had frankly, a shower door over here in the master bedroom that needed to be fixed, and I asked them to come over, and they did. And he has developed a handsome business in doing that. Now, in terms of businesses, we've dealt with all types of businesses, but a lot of the action, Dave, is not in these big, whopping, multi-million-dollar deals. Of course, we're talking on the average of deals in the range of 50K, maybe to 450, in that range there at the high level. So that's sort of the range of small businesses that we operate within. A lot of the actions, frankly, laundromats, car washes, things like that, simple businesses that you can get a good understanding of and knowledge about, that you can manage and maintain, and you get one going and it goes well, you work on it. Now maybe you want to buy another one and another one. We see those kinds of situations too. But there's opportunities all over this country, Dave, in almost every kind of business you can imagine. Restauranting, small manufacturing, you name it, daycare, home care, home repair. It's infinite.
That's a great story about Justin. How long ago did he take over the business?
I think it's been about a year and a half now.
Okay, and he's profitable.
Oh, yes, he is.
Because the business was profitable before, right?
It was, and he
Right.
and I coached him through all that process, and he and I have talked about expanding it. He might even want to have another one of these. I think they could work like this in every
Every state.
small town, big town. Here's the thing too, and we've learned this by the restaurant that Dale and I own together, the small town diner called Rosie's Home Cooking you mentioned. Veteran owned and operated, Dave. I am a Vietnam veteran, and we're not in that era now, thankfully. So that the fact that your business is veteran owned and operated is significant. So we tell our veterans looking to be in business, military spouses, fly that flag high. Let people know. We have people that will drive sometimes on the weekends an hour and a half or more to come and eat at Rosie's because they want to help a veteran. And that has happened a lot. So
Wow.
good time
Yeah.
to be
I
a
was there
veteran.
one time when you guys were getting your room ready to move, and I was eating there, and somebody else
Yep.
was driving in for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
Which it's like so. I've seen the people actually coming in, so I think it's great for the veterans to start a business, and what a fabulous non-for-profit, Lynn. I think giving people hope is tremendous, right? I think it's so valuable. People need that. Um, So vets could just get involved by going to the website, right? And reaching out, filling out a form. I'll put that on the link and
Yeah.
on the beginning of the podcast as well.
Hmm.
And then civilian business owners could get a hold of you guys as well if they're looking to sell businesses, right? So you
Yeah.
guys
There's
can,
a place for them to register. If they're looking to buy, Dave, and you go to our landing page, they'll see there's a place for them to register. And if you're looking to sell your business, there's a place for those folks to register, separate area of the landing page. Yes.
yeah. This isn't just a veteran mission; it's an American mission, I think, right? Helping out veterans in America because when a vet thrives, the community thrives, first of all, right? And gives
Exactly.
veterans hope with the after the military.
Yes.
You were just talking. I was just talking to you about a veteran, another Marine. I think he was a sergeant that took his life in the VA at the Arizona, and who knows what he was going through. But
Yeah.
if you have a new mission and you have hope and you have income coming in and you're able to, like Lynn said, work with, the struggles that you're having, talking to people, that's more than half the battle. That's pretty much the battle itself.
Yeah.
So for business owners looking to sell or people just want to support, what the best way to help is just go to the website. We mentioned it before. And anything else that you want to cover, Lynn, before I ask you for the final words to close out?
I think I'm good, Dave. And thank you for the time, by the way.
All right. Well, if you could give me a final closeout, that would be awesome.
Sure. Well, I think the thing that there's two things here that we are looking to do every day, all day, every year. We want we want people, veterans and male spouses all across this country, Dave, to know that we exist. Veteran Business Project, this is what we do. The V Harmony is real. It flat works. They're going to have a reason to stick around, to have a productive life. They are richly deserving of a good life. Uh, so many of them are well capable of being the captain of their own ship, so to speak. We want them to know that that can happen, that it's real, that we've done a lot of this. And in the process of doing all that, it's a practical tap down to the suicide challenge that America faces. I believe that with V-Harmony, we can splash that annual figure dramatically by more people understanding what the real issue is and the solution, a practical solution that flat out works. World War II set the template, Dave. It worked then. It still works now. The difference, you got to be willing to get down there with them,
Right.
right next to them. And that takes time, energy, and effort. Our coaches do a phenomenal job because they care.
I love it. Lynn, thank you so much for your leadership. Thank you for your service as well. And thank you for fighting for the community, veterans, long after your uniform came off. And it's an honor to get to know you better and call you a friend as well.
Yes.
To everyone listening, if you're a veteran who wants to own a business or know someone who needs this opportunity, go to veteranbusinessproject.org and take the first step. You already served your country. Now it's time to build your future. Make sure
Mm.
you subscribe to the channel, share this episode to make an impact on veterans' lives. Stay focused, stay winning. God bless you. and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you, Dave.